Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Top SST. Now the new academic year is started, so I thought of starting all the chapter explanation, and then during the exam time we will be discussing the question answers. Okay, so now we will be starting with chapter wise explanation. So today we will not able to cover the entire chapter. So this chapter I will be covering in 3 parts. So don't miss to see any part of this chapter to have a better understanding. So power sharing is from your democratic politics. First, you need to understand what is the meaning of power sharing. So when we talk about sharing, what do you understand by sharing? Sharing is, suppose for example, I have this pen. Okay, I share this pen with my friend. So this is just a sharing between general understanding of the word sharing. But now when we talk about power sharing, and we are talking in democratic politics. So when we talk in democratic politics, so how the power, so which power they are talking about? They are talking about the powers with the central government, the powers with the state government. So how the power is shared among different organs or different levels in the government. So that is the meaning of power sharing. Let's move further. So here, when we are going to talk about power sharing, first we will be looking into 2 major sources of the chapter. That is, one is from Belgium and one is from Sri Lanka. Their geographical location we are going to see. We are going to see what was their ethnic composition, how the population is divided, and other things. So with these 2 case studies or with these 2 sources, we will be understanding that one country, how they have accommodated, and one country, when they went with the majority policy, what happened in that country. So let's first start with Belgium. So Belgium is a very small country in Europe. Okay, it's a European country which is very small. So if I compare this country with our country, that is, suppose for example, this is my India and here somewhere are Haryana. So it is smaller than the state of Haryana. It is borders with France. Please underline these words in your textbook also: Netherlands, Germany, and Luxembourg. Okay, so this question can come for 1 mark or this question can come for 2 marks. Now, we don't know what is the marks distribution or paper pattern in your 2022-23, but yes, they can ask you the question, Belgium shared their borders with dash. So you need to know France, Netherlands, Germany, and Luxembourg. So if you want to learn, F is fruits, N is anything which is your favorite, G is, you can remember my name Geeta, and with Geeta you can remember Germany, Luxembourg. Okay, so L stands for anything which you know. So very simple to learn. That is, this is your short form to learn the borders. So it's a population little over 1 crore and about half of the population of Haryana. So Haryana's population is more than our Belgium. The ethnic composition of a small country is very complex. Now, what does this ethnic means? So when we talk about ethnic, very important, this can come as a definition also. So when we talk about ethnic composition, we are talking about ethnic is nothing but, when we talk about ethnic, a social division which is based on shared culture, which is shared culture, as well as the people who believe that they have something common. So in small thing, if I want to make you understand what you understand by ethnic is nothing but it's a small division. Okay, the division which share the culture. So they will be the same culture. For example, if I talk about India, Maharashtra, okay, so they share the same culture as a language, Maharashtrian. Okay, or for example, if you take an example of Tamil Nadu, so Tamil is the same culture or the language which they follow. So because of their similarity and physical type or the culture or the both, they need to always have the same religion or the nationality. It is not important that everyone who is in Maharashtra, they need to be Hindu or they need to be Christian or they need to be Muslim. It's not like that. But yes, some culture is being shared together. That's the reason it is called as ethnic. Okay, so now when you understood the meaning of ethnic, with this map, I will make you understand the ethnic composition of Belgium. So this is Belgium. Okay, so Belgium, if when I talk about Belgium, this part, okay, this is your capital. Okay, this is your capital, which is called as Brussels. Okay, this is your Brussels. And this, the entire, this one is called as Wallonian region. Okay, so when I tell you this is Wallonian region, which language they speak? They speak French. Okay, here it is a French speaking people. And now when I go on this yellow side, this is your Flemish region. Okay, Flemish region, where they talk Dutch. Their language is Dutch. And this shaded part, what you see, okay, this is your German speaking. German speaking. Okay, so this is the map which they have distributed. Now we need to understand what is the population. So first we will be looking into capital. Okay, as I told you, this is a small capital, and in capital you have two language speaking people. One is your Dutch speaking and one is your French speaking. So French speaking was 80%, whereas Dutch speaking was only 20%. Whereas country as a whole, when I talk about the Dutch speaking, here they was 59%, and whereas when I talk about the French speaking people, it is 40%. And this small part, which is German speaking, it is only 1%. Okay, now why ethnic? The question comes for 3 marks. Ethnic composition of Belgium is very complex. So what is the reason? What is the reason ethnic composition of Belgium is very complex? So we have looked into the map. So with the map, we understood that they have, like, as a country whole, their population, like, there were 3 people. One is Dutch, one is French, and one is German, which is 59%, 40%, and 1%. This is as a country whole. Whereas in the capital, it is totally different, where there are only 2 language speaking people are there, which is Dutch and French. And whereas my French speaking was 80% and my Dutch speaking is 20%. So why ethnic composition of Belgium is different? The first one, the ethnic composition was difficult because as a country whole, they have a different one, and capital, it is different. Second, what is majority in country as a whole was in minority in the capital. So if I look at Dutch speaking, which is 59%, which was a dominating in the country, the entire country, but it was a minority in the capital. Okay, so this is the reason why the ethnic composition of Belgium was very complex. So country as a total population, 59% who lives in the Flemish region speaks Dutch. This I have already explained. 40% is your Wallonian region who speaks French. Okay, these all are your important keywords. Whereas remaining 1% was German. Okay, Belgians who speak German. In capital, Brussels, okay, where 80% speak French and 20% was Dutch speaking. The minority French speaking community was relatively rich and powerful. Okay, so French speaking as a country whole, they were in minority, but they have the economic status of the French speaking was high. This was resented by the Dutch speaking community who got their benefit very later, okay, very later education and other things. Dutch speaking and French speaking community during 1950s and 60s. So when Dutch speaking started getting their rights, or like, educations and other things, it is only later period, that is in the year 1950s and 60s. The tension between the two communities was very acute in Brussels. Why? Because the country as a whole, their population was different, and in a capital, their population was different. In the country, but a minority in the capital. So now this is about the Brussels. When I talk about now, let's move to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, my India, and this is my Sri Lanka. Okay, southern part. Okay, so Sri Lanka is an island nation, just a few kilometers of the southern coast of Tamil Nadu. So when I talk about this is my Tamil Nadu, just now I have this is India, this is my Tamil Nadu, and this is the Sri Lanka. So southern part of the nation, coastal region. It is almost about 2 crores of the people, but the same as in Haryana. Like in the nation in the South Asian, Sri Lanka is a diverse population. Why Sri Lanka is having a diverse population? Now you need to understand. Sri Lanka, when I talk about Sri Lanka, okay, Sri Lanka, again, it has the first one major social group was Sinhala speakers. Okay, Sinhala speakers were 74% and Tamil speakers were 18%. Again, the Tamil speakers were divided into two subparts. One is native Tamils and the second one is your Indian Tamils. Native Tamils were 13% and this were your 5%. Okay, now as Sinhala was the major speaking, that is 18%, and Tamil speakers were 18%. Sinhalas were 74%. Okay, now why the tension? Now when we talk about who are Tamils, Sri Lankan Tamils, okay, the Sri Lankan Tamils who were like, in Sri Lanka, and those people who speak Tamil as their language. Who were Indian Tamils? With the name itself, you should know Indian Tamils means the people who might have migrated. Okay, Indians who are Indians, but those who speak Tamil as their language. So the Indian Tamils were the one who came from India as the plantation workers during the colonial period, and they settled down there. So Indian Tamils were 5%. Okay, then the Tamils were concentrated in the north and the east of the country. Most of the Sinhala speakers were Buddhist. Now, what was their religion? Their religion was Buddhist, while most of the Tamils were Hindu and Muslims, and 7% were the one who were Christianity, who followed both Tamil as well as Sinhala. So just like now, what we have understood with the two things, one was Belgium. Okay, so when I talk about the Belgium, here we have three major languages, Dutch, French, and your German speaking. So country as a whole, Dutch speakers are your 59%, French is your 40%, and German is 1%. And we have also seen that in the capital, when I talk about the capital, we have only two language speakers, Dutch and French. French is 80% and 20%. This is your ethnic composition of Belgium. And when I talk about Sri Lanka, the first one is your Sinhala speakers. Okay, Sinhala speakers who are 74%. They followed mainly Buddhist, and some of them also followed Christianity, but mainly it is a Sinhala speakers who followed Buddhist as their religion. Next is Tamils. Okay, so when I talk about Tamils, they have Sri Lankan Tamils and they have your Indian Tamils, who were 18%. Here they are 13% and it is 5%. They followed the religion Christianity, Hindu, or Buddhist. Okay, and the 7% people were Christians who were both Sinhalas as well as they were Tamils. Okay, so this is ethnic composition of Sri Lanka. So we need to now look at how Belgium has accommodated their ethnic composition and how Sri Lanka. So today we will be covering about Sri Lanka. So with the word split this word, you will understand. They are talking about majority. Okay, the majority in Sri Lanka. Who were in the majority? It is Sinhalas who were in majority. So what you understand by majoritism? Majoritism is nothing but a belief that the majority community should be able to rule the country in whichever they want. Okay, whichever they want means they will disrespect the minority. They will create their own rules. Okay, so here we know that majority in Sri Lanka who were in majority Sinhalas. So now how they have come up with their own majoritism policy. So as we know that Sri Lanka got independent in the year 1948. So the leaders of Sinhala community, they thought that they are the one who are going to dominate the government. Okay, so they came up with the establishment of Sinhala supremacy. How? So in 1956, the act was passed. 1956 act is very important. Under this act, they have passed 3 provisions. Okay, so first thing, they have declared Sinhalas as their official language. Okay, so official language, Sinhala has their official language, first point. Second point, all the Sinhalese are going to get the positions in the university as well as government job. So with the simple, you can write in your own words that all the government jobs and all the university positions are secured by Sinhalas, or the preference has been given to Sinhala. Third one, the Constitution will stipulate the state shall protect and foster Buddhism. Okay, so what they have done, first thing, they have made Sinhala as their official language. Second thing, they came up with the university position, all the government jobs, everything is going to be given preference to only Sinhalas. And third thing, they have made the official religion also, that is Buddhist. Okay, so Buddhism. Now with this 3, suppose assume in a class, okay, if the teacher gives only preference to one group, what the other group will feel? Definitely the other group will feel that they are not being considered, or they will feel that they are being discriminated, and all other negative thoughts comes. Okay, so here also, when these 74% of Sinhala speakers, when they have come up with their act of 1956, the Tamil speakers who were 13%, they started feeling that this is your 18%. So they started feeling that the country is not giving importance. So all these government measures coming one after another gradually increased the feeling of alienation among the Sri Lankan Tamils. They felt that none of the major political parties led the Buddhist Sinhala leaders was sensitive towards their language and culture. Very important point. They felt that the constitution, government policy denied the equal political right, discriminated against them in getting jobs and other opportunities. So what will happen? Definitely there will be a fight between 2 groups, and the same thing happened where the Sri Lankan Tamils launched the parties and struggle, and they now demanded that Tamil should be their official language. Equality should be equal, equality or opportunity should be given in the jobs and education. And then they told that there should be a Tamil Eelam. Eelam is nothing but the state. There should be an independent Tamil Eelam state. So this all when started, okay, Sinhalas, they have already come with their own act. Now the Tamils, they started demanding. When their demands were not fulfilled, both the groups started clashing with each other. Now what is civil war? Civil war is nothing but within the country when 2 social groups or the 2 community fight with each other, which is more dangerous than any war. So that is called as civil war, which started happening in Sri Lanka. So when the civil war happened, a lot of people were killed. Okay, families were forced to move as a refugee. Okay, then Sri Lankan recorded that education, health, development, everything is going down. But in grade 9th, you have learned that how Sri Lanka overcome with this problem. But again, now I'm talking about 2022. Sri Lanka is in a biggest crisis of the 2022. Now they don't have anything. So they are in the economic crisis. So they don't have money also. So if you read the newspaper, you will come to know that again the Sri Lanka went with the same era where they have cancelled their exams also. So Sri Lanka again went into the economic crisis. So this is about Sri Lanka. So what was what was the major thing they have done wrong. That is 1956 Act, which went wrong. Okay, where distrust between the Sri Lankan community and your Sri Lankan Tamils. Okay, so because of this, what happened? The civil war. Okay, both the demands were conflicting with each other. Okay, so the majorities thought that they can rule the minority, but minority also stood back and they thought that no, we need to have our own justice. So tomorrow I'll be coming with accommodation in Belgium and why power sharing is desirable. Thank you. Keep watching my videos for better understanding of the chapter.